Your entryway is the first thing that people see when they enter your home. And actually, in many cases, it might be the only thing that they see. But even more important than that, if your entryway is just not set up for success, and I'll explain what I mean, you're just gonna feel like your whole home is cluttered. I'm telling you. I've got a great video today. It is 11 tips for a cleaner, tidier, and decluttered entryway. Before I got my entryway under control, I constantly felt like my house was a mess. There's something about having a messy entrance or a messy mudroom. There's something about it that's just like depressing. Some houses have like big grand entryways. Other homes have mudrooms. Other homes are like mine. You don't even really have an entryway. Sometimes your entryway may even open up onto your living room or your living space. Whatever you have, I am going to give you the tips so that you can set your entryway up for any situation. Now, one little thing I want to say before I get started is, for an organization system to work and for getting an area decluttered and to maintain it, you need to make it work for the people who are using it. And so one of the things that I did is, before I tackled my entryway project, I watched how everybody came into our home. I watched how the kids just took off their backpack, threw their coat on a chair, tossed their shoes in the corner. And I kind of saw like, where are the areas that they're going? Where are they doing this? And then I set up systems so that they could just do this seamlessly without having to think. Because the thing is, if I have something complicated that requires them to go somewhere else or act in a different way, they're just never going to do it. People just are not that way. Your organization needs to meet them where they are rather than the other way around. Okay, so I have to say this first tip, and you're going to hear it and be like, okay, well, obviously, but we got to go in an order here. You have to have some sort of method to the madness. We are going to clean the entryway. We are going to dust, vacuum, all of the good things. So what I like to do is I take everything out and then I dust, and then that way I start with a really good, clean space that I can kind of look at objectively and decide, okay, where are we going to go from here? Whether that's your front door and you don't even have an entryway right now, whether it's your big grand entryway, maybe it's your mudroom, you're gonna do this step. Now we're going to declutter the things. A lot of times when you walk into the house, you just like immediately set down the things that you've had in your hand all day, or that you've brought in from your car, you've brought in from somewhere else. And so the front of the house gets covered with like sports equipment and packages and purses and all kinds of random things. So declutter your area, get rid of the things that you're not using, pare it down, and just get right down to the essentials so that we have a clean slate. And now we're getting on to the good stuff. So shoes. This is like always the problem, right? Like everybody has a million pairs of shoes. They're all sitting at the entryway. If you take your shoes off when you walk into the door, which I know most of us do, then the shoes just pile up. You need to have a system for shoes. I would argue that a system for shoes is like the number one way of getting your entryway in order. What I like to do for our shoes is, I've got this black kind of hutch or cabinet. We used to keep it in our kitchen. Now I've moved it to the entryway and we put our shoes in there. I mostly put like the adult shoes in there, and I like that you can't see inside. I put the shoes in, close the doors. I don't have to keep it neat and clean because the dresser itself does that already for me, and I store the shoes in there. For the kids' shoes, I have a wire basket. I will show you what it looks like. This is kind of it right here. This is nice because it's completely see-through. The kids can put their shoes in here and then they can see exactly where their shoes are within the basket. That way they don't have to empty the entire basket just to get to their shoes. They kind of see them, reach in and grab them. I just put the kids' shoes in here because, they're sneakers and they can get all smushed together. It doesn't matter. If you do not have a wire basket like this, if you do not have space for a dresser or a cabinet, go ahead and get something like this. This is like the quintessential shoe organizer. Just get your shoes up off the floor and organize them and have a place for everybody to put their shoes. And one thing about this dresser that I've got, I like it here because if you don't have like a small table, I do think having a table at your entryway is important. And so this dresser kind of doubles as like shoe storage, but then also a table. And I'll talk a little bit in a minute about why I think a table is important. But even if you can get like a skinny little table, if you don't have much space, I just think having a flat surface to put some items on is a good idea. Okay, bags. My kids come home from school and the first thing they do is they drop their bag on the floor. I was so tired of seeing a pile of backpacks on the floor. I simply got a plastic bin, stuck it at the front door. That's been great. The kids walk in, the first thing they do is they take their heavy backpack and they stick it in that plastic bin. Again, I like that it's see-through. I like that it's plastic. It's not going to get destroyed like maybe a wicker basket would. And they can just toss their bag in. And then the other convenient thing is the bags are right at the front door, which is super handy when we're trying to run out the door in the morning. No one is yelling, "Where's my backpack?" It's right there. Some people like to have seating in their entryway, and if you have the space for that, I think that is amazing. We do not have the space for it. If I did though, I would definitely get some kind of storage bench, maybe like this, where you've got this bench where you can actually sit down on it, but you can store shoes or other items inside of it. I really like furniture that serves a multi-purpose rather than just one thing. So if you've got the space and you want to have seating, consider a storage bench that you can use for both purposes. I recently was sent this footstool. I'm going to show it to you guys. It's really cute. I like the warm brown color. I mean, it comes in a bunch of colors to match your home. If you guys are interested in this, this is like sort of like a storage ottoman. It's small enough. You can use it as a footstool. You can sit on it. But the best part is it has storage on the inside. And so you can put shoes in there, you can put books in there, you can put your TV remotes in there, whatever you want to store, but I like the fact that there's storage. I will link it. I have a 15% off code if you're interested. Drop zone. I'm sure you have heard this term. I mean, it's kind of what it sounds like. It's a zone where you drop your stuff, right? But you need to have things to catch all of these dropped items. So what I've done in our entryway, I have put a metal silver bowl. We got this many years ago as a wedding gift, and I didn't really ever know what to do with it. Well, now I have the perfect solution. It is the catch-all for things like keys, wallets, sunglasses, parking passes, work badges, you name it. This can all go in this bowl, and then that way when you come home, you put it in the bowl, and when you're getting ready to leave the home, you take it out of the bowl. Next is optimizing for mail. A lot of times when you come into your home, the mailbox is theoretically right outside your door. You grab your mail, you bring it in, you toss it down. I'd say get a basket or something to deal with your mail. I personally don't like to leave my mail sitting around, so I don't have anything for the mail. In fact, I don't even get the mail unless I'm committed to going through it and dealing with it right away. But if you don't want to do that and you want to just have your mail sitting, I would recommend getting a small little basket, like file holder or something like that, where you can just put the mail in there for a time when you want to deal with it and have that right at your entryway so that it's not creating clutter around your home. Another thing I like to do in the entryway is to add a mat of some sort or a little rug. I just think that's a good way to sort of denote that this is the entryway, this is the space that we're using for that. I like to have a little bit of a larger mat as well because a lot of the allergens and dust and dirt that's coming into your home, like 90% of it is coming from the outdoors. So if you've got a mat, it will kind of catch all of that before it makes its way into your home. You could also add, like if you live somewhere cold and snowy, you could add a boot mat when it's winter time. Another tip, if you've got a smaller entryway, is to use your walls. Just think about all of the vertical space that we have in our home that gets unused. You know, when you're thinking about an entryway, of course, floor space is always limited. So you could do hooks, you could do shelves, anything to use that vertical space and take advantage of the wall space. It's getting colder and cooler outside, so jackets and coats is another thing that we have to deal with. Fortunately, we do have a coat closet right off of our living room. It's a little challenging sometimes to get everybody to hang up their coats. They do like to just throw them on the chair. I would say decide how you are going to handle your coats. Do you have a coat closet? Can you use that? Are you going to add a coat rack if you have the space? Are you going to add hooks? Especially if you have a mudroom. I know those are often equipped with hooks. Perfect way to do it. But just figure out how you want to deal with coats and jackets. I will say about coats and jackets, we have a tiny front hall closet. So we only keep the coats and jackets that we're wearing in that moment in the closet. I would recommend the same. So if it's like winter and all you're wearing is this big parka, well then keep your rain jacket up in your closet. Keep it elsewhere. You don't have to store it in your entryway. You don't have to store it in your front hall closet. It's a good idea to kind of rotate those coats out so that they're not taking up all of that space and so that you're not just faced with like 25 coats when you're opening the coat closet and you're trying to leave for the day. Okay, so now that we've implemented all of these things, we have laid the perfect groundwork for an always uncluttered and organized entryway. The final step that you're going to do is you are going to lay some ground rules. This did take some time for me personally. I did have to, and sometimes I still have to remind the kids to use the things that I have in place. For example, sometimes I'll catch my son just taking his shoes off and not putting them in the wire basket. He's 7 years old. You know, he likes to just fling his shoes, and every time I catch him doing this, I will say, "Hey, Alex, Put your shoes in the shoe basket and he will go and do it. He just needs a little reminder here and there, because the thing is, you want to keep it organized and your kids have to help you in doing that, and everybody who lives in the home has to help out in doing that. Okay guys, those are my tips for a clean and organized entryway. I promise you, implement these tips and you will love the results of your clean entryway. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to keep the organization and decluttering going, I'm going to link a playlist. Click on it and I will see you over there. Bye-bye.